they serve it at like sailing clubs or like boat clubbing things. It's
never heard of it. What's in it? Oh, that looks nasty.
It's almost like a milkshake. So it's a creamier version of a mudslide. Like in terms of they use milk and like 4 different types of liqueurs, and then they put rum and a 151 floater on it. So actually, it's like a milkshake that gets you fucked up, but it's delicious. And it's crazy that they don't even put any sugar into it. They use the liqueurs as the sweetener with the cream.
That sounds great.
Ice cream.
Boy,
it's so good.
So that's what I need for you to get my clothes off me.
You could have 5 of them, and like you wouldn't it's you know how like frozen margaritas somehow they get to put a little bit like extra tequila in it. You don't really taste it because it's like it's a treat kind of. It's one of those things that it sneaks up on you, and it can be scary. But Bushwhacker, if you get the chance to try Bushwhacker in South Florida, Jeff, it is the tastiest drink I've ever had in my entire life in any country in the world.
Yeah, I'm sure it's delicious. I'm looking at what's in it. But
I like Jello shots, but it really that will catch up.
You can also taste the Jello shots. It does taste vodka. It does taste like whatever liquor you're putting into it. You can taste it. This you cannot, and it's a 151 floater. Like it's a shot of 151 on top after they've frozen like the liqueur rum cream mixture.
Do you guys like? I've been to many parties where they have like that Jägermeister thingy, or I don't know even what the fuck it is.
Jaeger bombs?
Where it's on the ice machine, like they have an ice sculpture, and then it comes down, and you have to put your mouth. What is it?
It's like an ice luge or something.
Yeah, you're at the bottom of some type of ice sculpture, and then you drink this shit. No, I'm not gonna do that.
Jaeger was the one thing I missed out on. I was just never a fan of it. Everyone of my generation. Jaeger.
I liked it back in the day.
Yeah, I was never into Jaeger or Goldschlager.
Goldschlager.
Yeah, I was never into it, and I was never into gin and tonic, none of that stuff.
I like gin and tonic.
Yeah, I love gin buckets. That was like a college staple. Like it was a classy night. And then we also I went to school in the South. We had this thing called Everclear, which is rough, but that's what we made our punch out of. Whenever you see like those college frat movies and they're making big
Hey Pat, do you think anyone went to college and didn't use Everclear when they made their punch?
A ton of any of my friends who went to school in the Northeast, Everclear wasn't allowed to be sold in the Northeast, so like none of them knew what that was. They also and then when I went to school in the South, the other thing is we used to call cases of beer racks. They were called 30 racks. But in the South, they only sell beers in cases of 24. So like
we were
drinking laws around the country it's wild.
We used Everclear when we did our outdoor events or Cardi 151.
In college, I was in a fraternity, but I was there just at the moment where we went from beer to LSD.
That seems like the right timing for you.
Yeah, that was
it worked out pretty well. Really, every Friday night we would drop acid and listen to Dittmann. But Saturday nights I would throw the Hawaiian party. We had a ton of sand in the fraternity house that took forever to get rid of. And then we stole a tiki god from in front of a.
What fraternity were you at?
It was Phi Sigma Delta. Now it's CBT.
Oh, I've heard of that before.
No, it's the big Jewish fraternity.
One of them.
Yeah.
Does this D stand for Zion?
It does now, motherfucker.
Nice.
Zionist boys of the Torah.
Did you have one of these?
Yeah, 2 of those.
What are they?
That is not hygienic.
It wasn't ZBT. What's the other another big Jewish fraternity because I went to visit them. Yeah.
Yep,
that's
Abe
the
High.
one. I went to visit them at Emory. One of my friends was in it, and they had fucking phenomenal parties.
Guys, I'm gonna go set up my Christmas bush. I mean, my Hanukkah bush.
You're going down on your roommate?
No, it's the Hanukkah bush.
You're putting it up before American Thanksgiving? What the fuck?
Well, whose fault is it you guys are doing it so late? You guys like to waste time.
It's not our fault that you guys do in Canada weird holidays, okay? But I will be texting all of my Canadian friends and saying Happy Thanksgiving. They're like, we're over that.
Do you have a version of Thanksgiving?
They do.
What time of the year is it?
2 weeks ago, I think.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, I think it might be in like August or something. I don't know.
What, Russian Thanksgiving?
Canadian Thanksgiving.
Canadian.
No, we just had it.
That's what I said.
It was October.
Where does Thanksgiving rank on your favorite holidays?
It's up there. I like cooking for. I like some of the things I cook for Thanksgiving a lot.
What's your favorite thing you make?
Puerto Rican turkey.
Nice.
Oh, I've had that before with all the citrus and they stuff it in the inside, garlic, citrus. And I've had that once before.
Not exactly, but it's called pabachon. They basically prepare the turkey the same way they would have done the lechon, the pig. So it's very good. And my fresh cranberry sauce is ridiculous.
And I like to make my own as well.
How do you take your stuffing?
Well, it depends what kind of stuffing. I usually do two stuffings.
I make a sage dressing.
Yeah, I do one with plantains.
Which that makes sense with the turkey we're describing. That'd be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're going to be fisting a bird, huh?
Definitely going to be almost keeping a bird.
Yeah, that's the one thing with the prep on the turkey is you literally have to put spices under every inch of skin. So you really are molesting the bird for 40 minutes.
Yeah, I do that too. And I still stuff my bird, and then in the last little bit, I take out the stuffing, put it in with the rest of the dressing, bake it, stir it in, bake it, because it's more flavorful, but then it gets up to temperature, so I'm not worried about eating dressing that isn't the right temperature, and then finish cooking the bird, and then the bird tastes good too because it's had all the fresh sage and onion and all that goodness in there.
I usually brine mine and then I smoke it, but right before I put it in the smoker, I put mustard all over it with the mustard seed. Keeps all the moisture and all the flavor. It's always my turkey's never dry.
My turkey's never dry too. I don't know why people have trouble with.
I don't know either.
I don't get it.
They overcook it to high heat.
I use a bag to cook mine, and then I loosen the skin. I also brine mine, Jason, but I loosen the skin, and then underneath the skin, rub it with butter, and then I also put herbs
under the skin, and then
Do you play some freaky music?
Of course. I mean,
You still there?
I was trolling, but
Let me respond to that. I am.
Real quick. If it's
okay,
like his third term, then Obama will meet him at the match. Go ahead.
he would have Trump would lose.
So Patty, by design, I am an optimist. I will look to
So you're a change
figure out what optimistic scenario is there to get from a bad situation.
You're a change agent.
Yes.
Yeah, my cousin's a change agent, and she does the same bullshit. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
I could see it cutting federal employees, which will affect unemployment, but by 20%, just because it won't affect the efficiency.
When she graduates with all the AP requirements for UC. I don't know.
For a second. Love me.
Are you finished with your point, Rohan?
Really quickly. You said targeted. Okay? Children are not being targeted. Okay? Women not being targeted.
that's a lie.
Israel was targeted.
That's a lie. That's a lie. We've already seen posts. We've already seen posts from soldiers on the ground bragging about destroying schools and cutting off water. Multiple tens of hundreds of videos and pictures of these people bragging. So what I ask Israelis, right, is what is your tangible expression against this type of behavior in your military? What do you do to make sure that these attitudes do not pervade throughout your military? What do you do?
Yeah. Look, I'm not part of the military, number one. Number two is that if and when, hang on, Cool C, just mute up for a second. If there have been situations where people have been killed and it's outside the bounds of war, especially if it's children and so forth, then I call it out. We should all call it out. There's no question about it, without a shadow of a doubt. And you're going to find isolated incidences along those lines that occur. Some of them are deliberate, and some of them are done by accident. Proof of that is that three Israelis who were waving a white flag were killed by the IDF by mistake. This is what happens in war. Mistakes do occur. I'm not suggesting that every single situation that occurred like this is a mistake.
What I said. We're talking about being targeted. We're not talking about mistakes.
Israel was targeted October 7th.
There's one thing you said, like, yo, it must have been like 10 minutes ago. That's the issue with is the war started when Hamas chose to abduct and murder people or kill people. And it's like, I don't know, like, was that a war? Like, are they capable of, like, is this a war? Like, I don't know. It's not really a war between anything like equal size.
They knew the results of it.
Look, I mean, they knew well exactly what was going to happen. They planned very carefully going to Israel.
Let's pause there. Like, what exactly did they know?
What do you mean?
They knew the plan.
You just said that they knew. I'm sorry. Your mic sounds mad far away. It's super hard to hear you. And you're also.
They knew
what did they know?
When they attacked, they were coming back after them. They knew what they were doing had results. Revenge.
Obviously.
They knew what they were doing, and they knew what they were doing was wrong. So they planned to be attacked back.
No, bro, that doesn't.
Because they took off.
No, this is big.
They knew because they took off.
Because, like, I get you.
They were getting.
You could say perhaps that they knew they were.
Prisoners of war. That's what they
please,
are.
I'd like to respond to what you said. You could say that they knew that there would be
Not
repercussions.
your brother though. But
Yo, cool
Like a fucking cracker, bro.
Cool C. You came in late, but I'm gonna just run you down on the game real quick. There's a 3-strike rule. If you interrupt, you will get a strike. Sometimes you might not even know that you got a strike. So I'm gonna start it now for you because I'm gonna just assume that you didn't know. even though you just said you knew, but I'm gonna just assume you didn't know, give you the benefit of the doubt, and give you a clean slate. So starting now, if you interrupt once, you will get a strike. If you interrupt twice, you might get 2 strikes. So just letting that be.
What do they do?
I think it's very obvious.
But
I was literally just about to
all encouraging to put our input here, and that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to give you some insight because they knew what was going on. That's why when they attacked October 7th, they knew the results would be taking POWs and then them coming after them. So they knew they were hiding behind Gaza and the Palestinians, Hamas.
Stereotypical one is you go to like a family member's house and like they do all the cooking and it's all on them. Like my favorite ones have been like the Friendsgivings when you're away from family and it's like when I lived in Tampa, it was like a transient community, so there was like 20 friends would come together and it was like more of a potluck. Everyone brought a side and like the host would probably do the ham, the turkey, like the proteins and everything like that, but everyone else bring. Those were always like the most fun Thanksgivings, in my opinion, but I would.
That area, like, bro, 80% of the people in Gaza are already refugees from an earlier evacuation, an earlier humanitarian crisis, an earlier chapter in Israel's ethnic cleansing. Unless Israel can reconcile with its past, like, it's not good for security. It's not good for like people that like me that want to enjoy Israel and also Palestine. But it's also not good for Israeli business.
But this isn't a conventional fight. This is actually this isn't a conventional fight. It's actually one of them is operating as terrorists. One of them. I mean, you heard me first. So like, it's not a normal fight though. You're basically what you're doing is that you have one group. They're like terrorists. They're basically fighting guerrilla warfare style. Then you have a conventional military who has to, operate by the Geneva Convention's, code of conduct during war. Whereas, similar to like how insurgents in Iraq would behave, or even the Taliban in Afghanistan, they don't abide by that. So they slip in and out of civilian populations. That's what they use as cover. So it's not. It's kind of hard to compare. Like if you look at Russia and Ukraine, you have two conventional forces. They're fighting each other in uniform. It's a completely different style of war. And it's also way less likely for you to have civilian casualties because you're not in an urban center and you basically are only fighting each other. That's the real big difference.
Yeah, well, I've got to ask you a question. What do you know? How would you rate your knowledge on the history of the region? Honestly.
This is like almost like a go-to question from Israelis. I can't rate my knowledge. I don't know, I feel like I have a fairly good timeline of the region since 1947.
Alright. So, you said something about ethnic cleansing. Maybe I'll just hone in on that. Do you have any idea how many Arabs and Muslims were chose to be able to stay in Israel in 1948?
How many chose to?
Yeah.
You mean of those that have the option? I didn't know that any had the option.
Absolutely. People had the option of accepting Israel.
Well, no, not some people did. Some people did.
Yeah, okay. So maybe I can break down a few statistics. In 1948, there was approximately 156,000 Arab/Muslims who were living in Israel at the time. They chose peace. They chose to be able to stay. They chose to be able to bring up their families there and to be able to flourish in Israel. Today, those numbers have gone over 2.1 million people. They have flourished. They have had support of the Israeli government. They have equal opportunities. They are lawyers, they are doctors, they are solicitors, they're accountants. They're people who fight in the IDF.
Immigrants.
No, they're people who No, not immigrants. We're talking about people who identify as Arab/Muslims that live in Israel. That's what I'm talking about.
I feel like you're about to use leaving so fast.
Yeah, so, look, they are numbered approximately about 2.1 million today. So if there was this idea of ethnic cleansing, it would have happened a long time ago.
I mean, if you're talking about the population that exists within Israel, and if we're talking about concept of ethnic cleansing, we're obviously talking about the region beyond Israel, neighboring. That's obviously what we're talking about. So we're talking about the nationalist attitude that
So why would they get rid of
So you're talking about
that's one strike, cool C.
Okay, so what about the Sinai Peninsula?
What about it?
Israel wanted it, or they gave it back for peace. That was the deal. There was no expansionist ideals. There's no ethnic cleansing.
Okay, well, why is the concrete? He was responding to something I said. And he also says one thing that I think is really untrue that I want to attack precisely is that really it was an error of omission. It's like I mentioned, my knowledge dates back to 1947, and you said, there was a lot of errors that chose to stay, which is really I was like, but you didn't mention anything about any expulsion or any knockback or any that's you didn't mention that. Why is that?
Well, because I was focusing on the issue, which was ethnic cleansing. Got it. And yeah, there was approximately 700,000 people who left, who were either leaving of their own volition or forced out, who were killed. There was a combination of.
So why whose choice don't get what? I don't understand how y'all can reckon with history, but you're like, there's no ethnic cleansing, and you just don't mention the history where the people were ethnic cleansing. You think that's the thing?
Yeah, I mean, you could reference even Israeli publications talking about Ben Gurion ordering people to place poisonous chemicals within Arab water wells, civilian water wells, and detailing that even Israeli publications will tell you exactly what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've heard of those, and I believe they're untrue. But that's okay.
What is your contention? What is your tangible contention?
Hang on. I was specifically responding to you. I was responding to you.
I'm just meeting you. I'm just meeting you at your disagreement.
Responding to you. But what I'm asking you now is, do you ever bring up the fact that Israel is like no other country in the world that is surrounded by fucking enemy states, by terrorist groups wanting to be able to destroy it? There's no other country.
I think that just to answer your question, because I feel like you go ahead.
Do you ever bring that up? Yeah, that's an aspect of settler colonialism. You go somewhere that's foreign, you build a fort, and you're like, everybody wants to kill us. It's not, but it is. It is.
That's kind of what I was gonna say. It's bro,
it's not okay, bro. There's people that have come to the land that could have come with peace. They could have been like, we want to buy all this land, we want to steal. Now we got the army that had been working on this land for generations and still employ them. They could have come in. That was they said we want complete control, and that is kind of where the shit happens.
No. Well, okay. Maybe we can just talk about this. The United Nations, at the time was dividing up multiple territories, including, let's say, for example, India and Pakistan. In 1947, they divided up that entire region and created two states, one which was Pakistan, one which was India. 14 million people had lost their land and were displaced. 1 million people were killed in the process, but two countries were created. Jordan in 1946 was not a state. It was created by the United Nations League Nations. That was the British mandate of Palestine, but it became Transjordan and then was called Jordan. Also, at that time in 1948,
I'm older than you.
You're not older than me.
No, I'm older than you are.
You try. We need some help. We need some ideas.
Yeah. Maybe Naga have any ideas? Want to come and
I'm already friends with Naga. Did I accidentally add this? It says add. No, I guess I'm not. Naga had seeding the cloud. That happened back in 1957 when they were trying to drown out Cuba, and they started doing that with the support of General Electric when they were helping the military use this that weaponry in order to be able to seed the clouds to change the weather in certain geological locations. We're in a great shifting right now, and there is a conscious shifting that's also coming that they're trying to distort. That we as humans, it's better to have this never needed than to. And I'm serving 2 life sentences for a crime I didn't commit.
So it's a 9 mil. It's a 9 mil, and I think that's a decent gun to start out with. Definitely take it, get comfortable at the gun range shooting it. I have a trash gun that I keep, which is like a little compact Taurus. But for me and my husband, our more grounded and well-rounded weapons we keep in the house. So that's definitely something you'll want to keep in the house, not necessarily carry on your person, because if someone takes it, especially being for $1,500, that sounds like. Let me look at this.
I think that's a Walter PvP.
Yeah.
I only say that because I've been looking at that pistol recently myself.
Yeah, because I just got my husband FNX Tactical 45 ASP.
Because they did continue to clean us up into that pistol.
Guns.
Well, that one's really nice.
Asking to get pulled up. I don't know if she put up her hand or not, but I just saw the chat. I was trying to scroll through.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't looking at my screen. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Sarah. If anybody else wants to come up, just say so. Dr. Erica, I didn't see you either.
I feel like that's the one true American food, right? Like if like people from other cultures were thinking like, what is like American food? Barbecue is probably like the only thing that's really ours, right?
Nope.
Yeah, pretty
Not
American.
really. There's a lot of other places that smoke and grill. A lot of other places in the world. Storing their methods. Mexico does it.
Israel is, and everybody in Israel is angelic and does everything by the books. And, it's not kind of okay, but when people like you, right, tend to be able to hyper-criticize Israel, then there's an understanding as to the reason why we might be a little bit dubious about little things that you decide to be able to pick out, especially when it comes to having a conversation about big picture things. You tend to be able to go back to these little cherry-picking points. Got it? That's why.
I mean, so like it's you're disagreeing with this specific story because of the suspicion that anti-Semitism pervades even through Israel's own publications. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, look at me. Guess what? There are people who are called self-hating Jews. I hate to tell you. There are people in Israel. Okay,
do you think every Jewish person who is against Israel is a self-hating Jew?
Let me finish. No, now you're trying to create an argument that I'm not trying to create. That's garbage. I'm saying there are people who are called self-hating Jews. There are people in Israel who don't like Israel. There are people in Israel who don't like particular policies of the government, or even for that matter, other parties. But guess what? That is democracy. And Israel is the only fucking democracy in the whole region. Okay, the Arabs and Muslims that live in Israel today have got better fucking human rights than any other Arab Muslim country in the fucking world. Have you focused on that as a topic? Why not put that up as a topic? Why not focus on that? Why not focus on, what's happening to the women in Iran? Why not have a look at, why is it that 90% or whatever it is of the terrorist organizations in the world are Islamist? Why focus on Islam?
We're on like four different points.
I'm trying to point out to you.
This is common with people whose arguments are inconsistent. They will jump from point to point without giving you a chance to actually meet them at whatever point. They say it's like building up an argument, so that like by the time that they're actually like in a heated discussion with somebody, they can say, "Oh, I named 5 things," but really you didn't go through any of them with anybody. It's just tropes and propagandic devices. So, like, to answer your question, which was really hard to track, very challenging to track, but your question about why I don't bring up these things and specifically why I don't bring up the idea that Israel is surrounded by enemies, I think that it's very convenient for any warmongering nation to say that they're surrounded by enemies. That's like literally what would happen if you found your nation in violence. So, like, it's not something that
I get that you get a hard on every time Israel's mentioned. Tell me one thing. When is it that Israel has initiated a war? Hang on for a second. Give me a date. Give me a time. In the last 75 years, Israel has initiated a fucking war.
Are you familiar with the Samson option?
Are you familiar with the Samson option? That's so funny.
You're telling me that Israel is warmongering. I give you 75 years to be able to tell me. No, hang on for a second. I give you 75 years as a scope to be able to tell me, right, an example of one time where Israel has initiated a fucking war. You can't give me a damn thing. You're full of shit. You've got bias. Just own it. Take some time out. Do some reading and learn.
See,
you have got bias.
This is what people do who don't want the everyday layman to have a discussion on any topic that they disagree with people on, because
look, you can
what
play
normally
the
happens
card,
when
okay?
people
what normally happens the victim card. I get it. That's exactly what you're doing.
I made the strike system very clear, and the strike system is only implemented The strike system is only implemented when people get to the point to proving that they can't have a civil discussion. So, like, this literally is your third strike. I would actually like to continue the conversation, but I wouldn't be myself, and I wouldn't be staying true to my discipline and my values if I didn't move you from the room. So I gotta move you from the room. This is your third strike. I'm sorry.
Loser.
I can't believe you can't take it.
It's just about having discussions.
He's telling you the truth, though. He's telling you, and you won't even go back on what he was telling you, because what he was saying was actually true. And part of the discussion.
No, he hasn't engaged critically with anything we asked him about. The Liquid's party preference towards imperialism. He literally gave us why are women in Iran persecuted. That has nothing to do with imperialist attitudes that pervade through Israeli military. It has nothing to do with it. But this is common. This is common with people.
When has Israel started?
I already brought up the same thing. Israel has threatened the United States of America with nuclear war if we pulled aid when we threatened to do so.
No.
That happened. That's real life. Just look it up. The Samson option. It's real life.
When was that?
Hi, Lefty.
Just look it up.
This is Joy. I have a question.
He can't even give you the whole thing either.
I'm literally giving you the name of the thing.
What?
Like,
I have a question.
I can't hold your hand. I'm not your mother. I'm not your father.
I have a question.
Yeah, but you do that to other people.
What, do you want me to send the link of the Samson option? You don't know how to spell Samson? SAMSON. Go ahead, Jay.
I'm wondering what your opinions are with the election of Donald Trump. What do you think he might do? Because I believe he's a Zionist, and I'm just concerned with the election. I'm just wondering what you think is going to happen.
I think every president is a Zionist, but for sure Joe Biden was one of the most Zionist presidents that we've had. And, Trump was competing with Kamala over who likes Israel more. But, we're going to see if he's as anti-war as his followers love to claim that he is. He's talking about finish the job. He wants this thing wrapped up by the time he's elected. We'll see how all of that plays out, because as we can tell, Netanyahu is bloodthirsty, and he won't stop. So we'll see how it plays out, honestly. I don't know too much about a lot of his picks. RFK is a really weird pick to me. I'm very curious as to see how that's going to play out, because he has borderline left ideologies in some senses, but then it's like, bro, it's almost like he's just a fantasy dreamer. You know what I mean? Like he thinks more than he can act. He's going to have access to a lot of resources, though, so I don't know. We'll see if all of his so-called health improvements will actually improve our health and turn out to be the same price or not too much more expensive than they already are because prices are going up. But I think the war will still continue.
Are you following Elon Musk?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting that we openly accept the idea that it's okay for someone to just buy their way into the White House, because that's essentially what has happened here, which is so sad. And it happens to be a person that owns one of the most popular social media platforms in North America. So that's another.
I've heard that his.
My question is though, he has a government contract for space. So why wouldn't you want someone who's doing a government contract to continue, even with Space Force, or the opportunity to venture out with our nation to take care of our country?
I mean, what's in space that's going to take care of our country?
Well, we have Space Force and the opportunity to put what Elon Musk did today. 3 rockets have taken off and actually put satellites in motion. I think one was for, I believe it's Italy, but I can't remember. I read it about a half an hour ago. I'm driving when I stopped. But
yeah, they just launched today.
3 of them.
And President Trump was there.
Wait, so he's launching rockets to do what?
To put satellites
for Wi-Fi.
The world.
So we can have Wi-Fi?
Right.
I got you.
But that's also a weapon tracking system.
I mean, it sounds great on paper. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. It just begs the question, like, who has control of these institutions, and what are their political motives? What are their incentives for action towards different groups?
Well, that's one reason why Elon said he can't hire someone who is not an American citizen, because you come in as a nationalist or whatever your country is, and you come work for him. He has a government contract that requires him to only have American citizens.
He's an American nationalist.
To work for his company, and because if someone came in from Iran and worked here, I'm just using Iran, and they left this country, they could take that nuclear information or space information back to their country. Now, once you're a citizen, you pledge loyalty, you give your citizenship up potentially to your home country. You are now a certified American citizen. He can hire you.
Yeah. Elon Musk himself is sitting up there. Honestly, it's like, let's see.
I understand, but his family
these people are gonna. It's like you have to gauge what people's motivations are. Are they going to consider?
He's the descendant. His great grandfather was a Nazi.
Or is it gonna be something? I get it. Yeah.
What you said, Jay?
His great grandfather was a Nazi.
Joy, my fault. Yeah, I mean, his great grandfather, his fucking dad was he like an emerald miner or some shit like that? Like he
was American.
I know, but they're from East Germany.
You talking about Elon Musk dad?
His grandfather was a Nazi.
Oh, his grandfather was a Nazi. Well, there's a Nazi in Mossad. They have a Nazi.
Well, it's amazing that the space development actually brought over all the Nazi scientists to run American space, NASA, which was crazy. You talk about that. So he's part of that Space Force. Brought over all the doctors.